Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to my presentation. Sorry, we have been distracted since lunch today, so things are not so flow as we expected. Yes, my name is Lyndon Havimana, and I work as Associate Dean for Research in the Faculty of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forestry, National University of Solomon Islands. And my background is in fisheries science, mostly on stock assessment and modeling. So today I'm going to present a topic which is based on white-tailed crescent, that is Variola albimarginata, a preliminary study on size, sexual maturity, gonadal variation, and as well as the growth of the species itself. However, okay, so the presentation outline, the way how I'm going to present my research will be based on this following outline. First, I will be introducing the topic that I'm going to discuss, or the species that I'm going to discuss. And then followed by the materials and methods that have been adapted or adopted by me and my research colleagues. Then followed by research results, expected outcomes, conclusion, and as well as the acknowledgement. So in terms of introducing this research, first, I will emphasize that grouper or coral trout is a commercially important fish species, especially in Southeast Asia and as well as in the Pacific. It's a commercially important. And because of its commercially important species, it has a value. Yeah? And it's quite one of the most expensive fish species in Southeast Asia and as well as in Solomon Islands. The problem with this stock or this particular species is that overharvesting, because one, unsustainable fishing practices that we conducted, especially in Solomon Islands and as well as in Pacific Island countries as well. And the other thing is lack of enforcement. We don't have proper management measures or enforcement measures that are put in place to effectively enforce management measures. The other problem that I also noticed is that local knowledge. People understand about when this particular species will aggregate and how to catch it. They know how to do it. And they know when and how to catch it. They know about this species. The other issue that I also found is that there is not much study being conducted in this particular species as well. There is only a small description about this particular species. However, there is more to be done in order for us to understand the stock itself. Of course, I have already emphasized that this species is commercially exploited, and I already mentioned about problem or the limitation here is that there is no biological information available in the literature that will help us to sustain this stock in the long term. In the management regulations of the Ministry of Fisheries in Solomon Islands, we have size that is allowable for catch. They have that. But the problem with this is that if you are not able to update the information, it is not reliable for us to rely on. The other issue we also have is that Solomon Islands, especially within the archipelago itself, we have different islands, and most of the studies are conducted only on certain areas, and then they assume that that represents the whole of Solomon Islands, which is not good scientifically as well. Hence, the objective of this study is to determine the biological aspects of this species in one of the provinces in Solomon Islands. The other thing that I also noticed is that sustainability of knowledge. We need students to continue with research. So in order for us to do that, this research is also, students are allowed to participate in conducting the research as well, so that knowledge transfer is also happening at the same time. We study the fish, we also do transfer of knowledge to the younger generation. So in terms of materials and methods, the study site itself So we have a study site here, which is in Godol Canal, and if you've been to Solomon Islands, Godol Canal is where one of the provinces where Honiara is located in Solomon Islands. It's quite far. You can see from here, students are participated in the research as well. This is very, very important for knowledge transfer. We work with communities. The communities or the fishermen provide fish for us. We went to the communities, we work with them, and we try to build relationship and make sure that communities also trust the university as well, which is very, very important. Building trust is very, very important. Sorry, 10 minutes, what does that mean? 10 minutes?
You have 10 minutes left.
Ah, okay, that means I still have a lot.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so we went to the communities, we collect the fish, and then we bring it back to the lab. In the lab, we measure for the fork length, we measure for the total length, we measure for the standard length, and then we weigh the fish. We dissect the fish, and then we identify the gonad, we identify the stomach, we identify the liver, and so forth. And these are the practical exercises the students are participating with me in terms in the course that we conducted. After all this, we preserve the gonads. So we recognize this is testis and this is ovaries, and then we preserve them in 70% alcohol solution. So this is mainly for histological analysis, which we are aiming to do in the long term, in the future. Japanese government is going to provide us with the necessary funding for the lab. It cost us 30 million Solomon dollars, maybe 30 million divided by 8, I don't know, that is in US dollar. Okay, so we preserve the samples in 70% alcohol, and then we keep it for further analysis in the future. We also did some analysis, and these are some of the results that we came up with. In terms of length, we are looking at the frequency and then in different months. So we have from January until December, 12 months period data. This is very, very important for us to understand in terms of the catch component. So as you can see from here, we have length of the fish, and then we have the frequency. The importance of this is that it will help us to understand when is the small size of fish caught and when is the big size fish caught. So we notice from this presentation that, or from this result, that in May, we notice some small individuals were caught during the time. This is very, very important for recruitment analysis. And then we also notice that when was the fish that are caught in big size, most of the time, we notice it in August as well, in the month of August. This information is very, very important for fish biologists because it helps us to understand different classes of fish based on length age group. The other results that we also found is in terms of how the gonadosomatic index changes with length. And this is based in months as well. So we have months from January until December. That is 1 year cycle. And we're trying to analyze what is the difference here. The difference between GSI and the body weight here is that it is the ratio between the gonad weight and as well as the body weight. So when the value of GSI is high, it means it's pregnant. When the value of GSI is low, it means it's not pregnant. Yeah. This is very, very important for determining spawning seasons of fish. So as you can see from the result over here, you will notice from January and then goes down until June, and then October, November, December, you will notice there is a high values over there. This indicates when the spawning season occurs for this particular fish in different months. So higher values indicate spawning seasons, lower values indicate no spawning season. And then we also want to analyze at what size does the fish spawn. Yeah? And this is based on GSI values as well. So as you can see from here, we estimate at 50% maturity, 50%, the GSI was almost like 1.4. And the size that represent here is around 210 millimeters in terms of fork length. This indicates to us that at the age or at the size of 210, 50% of the fish can able to participate in spawning, or 50% of them are already adult, and half or 50% are not adult. For this result, we are trying to understand how does the gonatosomatic index or the GSI change over time. So over time means in 1 year cycle as well. As I've already mentioned earlier on, the GSI have values high indicates the spawning seasons. Low values indicates the non-spawning season. So as you can see from here, the conclusion that we can come up with is that from October, which is 10, you notice values are going higher and higher. And then it continues until June. Meaning to say that in conclusion, we assume that these fish species spawn during the month of October to June, which is almost 9 months pregnancy period. And this is also supported by the scatter plot that is on top, and as well as the line graph, which is on the second one. In terms of growth, this is very, very important because when the length increases, there is an increase in weight as well. What about if the length doesn't increase, but the body weight increases, then something is not right over here. So the graph itself here tells us that yes, there is a relationship between the fork length and as well as the body length of the fish, meaning to say that there is a positive growth. So for fish biologists, we are interested on what is the relationship between this fork length and as well as the body weight, how related they are. So we log transform the data in order to give us a straight line. So we performed this analysis as well, and we noticed that yes, there is a positive correlation between the fork length and as well as the body weight of the fish. The expected outcome of this research is as follows. This study is the first to detail the population biology of whitetail crescent fish in the archipelago of Solomon Islands. Result obtained will be useful for further biological studies for this particular species and as well as other associated species related to this particular species. The knowledge about this commercially important species will be shared with the Ministry of Fisheries. This will help with the implementation of management measures. We are expecting to roll out this research in the future. Cost, thank you so much. To conclude, 50% maturity is at 210 in terms of fork length. Monthly change in gonatosomatic index was high in the months of October to June, suggesting spawning period. The relationship between body weight and body length is positive in terms of the relationship. And I want to acknowledge Solomon Island National University for the provision of other equipments and other stuff, and as well as the MBLEC Foundation for provision of fund for us to do the research. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for this presentation.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Sandin, for the presentation. Yeah, I have a lot of questions that we can talk later also, but my first question, I guess, as you mentioned earlier, that oftentimes people use biological traits of fish from one given location and sort of consider that it's the same elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so do you think for this species in the Solomon Islands, there's several stocks, depending on the different islands that might have different biological traits? Or do you think it would be one stock?
Thank you so much. I agree with the question that you came up with. Yes, but I will be just doing a hypothesis here. I assume that there is a difference, especially in the Solomon Archipelago, because we have a very distant waters. I mean, the islands are so spread out. there's a tendency that yes, there's a difference. Maybe because of food availability, or maybe because of finding mates, or maybe how they utilize energy, those kind of stuff. It could be also affect maybe in terms of what is the size and all those kind of stuff. Yeah, there is a but I will just making a guess here as well, unless we understand. Yes.
And a follow-up question. I know there's a lot of debate between fishery sites. Do you think that fishing pressure can be a driver to change biological traits, that this species may adapt to faster growth because there are more fish? Or
Thank you. Okay, now your question has become harder for me.
okay.
Yes, I agree with you. When there is a pressure in fishing, of course, there is a tendency that fish will tend to reach maturity at an early stage, just to compensate for that fishing pressure as well. That is the trend that is they notice in general stocks in fish. Yeah. I'm not really so sure about this particular fish species, but yeah, there is a general trend that they notice that when there is a fishing pressure, species tend to reach maturity stage at a earlier age, and as well as at younger age, younger in terms of length.
I have a question. You told us at the beginning that it is very important for commercial purpose, this species. Does it mean that it's something that it's a fish that has been overfished for exports, or is it also a fish that is consumed by local people?
Thank you so much. I'm not so sure about export, but there are Chinese companies that export some of these particular species. Yeah, but in Solomon Islands, like some of the provinces that are concentrated and more people, they're having some issues with the stock. Yeah. But in some communities that are not so many people, they assume that they are okay, but unless research is conducted, then we can verify with this kind of information.
So it's a species that is well known by the local people, and is there any traditional knowledge that you have mobilized or not to get to know better this species?
Thank you very much. Yes, in Solomon Islands, people, the local knowledge, they are very good with it. They know when this particular species spawn. They know how they migrate. Those kind of knowledge they have it. But the issue here is that fish is a food for them. They rely heavily on fish as well. And some communities, they rely on fish for income generation activities, to receive money. So it depends on different provinces. But like you said, sometimes management measures are not so effective in terms of enforcement. But we depend heavily on the communities to manage their own resources. But unless we provide them with sufficient information, then it will help them as well. The most common one we have is that taboo. Taboo is like protect an area just for a certain period of time and then open it again. So it depends on that.
And I guess that all your work, it's about having a better understanding of the population growth, and the final objective, is it to install quotas for fishers, so that to preserve the stock of fish, you should not fish more than
yes, correct, correct. Yeah, yeah, no, I can understand you. Yes, that's the ultimate objective, is to to get as much information about the stock, educate the fishermen and as well as the resource owners about that particular stock so that they can able to manage their resources in a sustainable way. Education is very, very important. It can change human behavior as well. At the moment, especially for people in the rural areas, they thought that fish is given by God and it is everywhere for everyone to use. No, there is no extinction or something like that. But that kind of mentality is no longer sustainable in the long run, because of course subsistence, we rely in subsistence farming and fishing, but now commercial cash economy is also coming into the country as well. So we need to balance where subsistence is and as well as the commercial interest comes in as well.
Thank you. Any other question?
Yeah, ask question for me.
Yes.
Don't kill me, Professor.
No. I've already been discussing with you about fishery and many other topics related to water resources.
Yes.
So, have you collected the data of the 6 provinces, or where would you be?
Thank you.
Have you focused your collection on a specific area and why?
Thank you so much, Professor. One thing, Solomon Islands consists of many different islands. Logistics is very expensive in Solomon Islands. At the moment, lucky SPC provides some grant for me, so I can able to extend to other provinces as well. At the moment, I'm just focusing on 3 provinces, but one of the provinces I'm focusing on beach timber. I'm trying to look at the genetics comparison between Fiji, Solomon Islands, and Papua New Guinea as well. But for this one, for finfish species, I'm just focusing on 2 different provinces. One is supported by MLF and the other one is supported by SPC. So, but in those provinces, I have different spots to collect fish as well. So that can help to, at least we know there is a difference, not difference, but at least the sampling is quite representative. Yeah. Thank you.